Let's see. Looking around my stock twits. Oh, here we have a chart. TVIX chart. It says possible cup and handle forming. And it's got A, B, C, D, E. Wow, it almost looks like a Elliott wave on a TVIX chart. Oh my god. It never ends. People, I try to, I preach and I preach and I preach about technical analysis with TVIX, but it doesn't matter. People are not going to listen to me. They're going to continue to do it and continue to think it works. Now, why do I say don't use technical analysis on TVIX? I will lay out my case one more time. TVIX is a derivative product. It is derived from the VIX futures. It is made up of two VIX futures, which average out to be a 30-day duration. So, for example, right now we're about halfway through the expiration cycle. So it's about, TVIX is composed about 50% of the April future and 50% of the May future. So the April future in the VIX right now is 2140, the May being 20. Futures currently are in backwardation. And we can look at that on our VIX chart, which I can pull up right here. I like to go to VIX Central to look at the term structure. Okay, so let's pull up our term structure here. And that shows us the term structure. All right, so what does this have to do with the chart? The stock twits, the chart that we had up, that this guy put up on stock twits. What does the futures, these two futures are what make up TVIX. 2141 and 2002, okay? Now these futures trade kind of, they each have their own character. Each month has its own character. It's slightly associated with the VIX. However, you see the VIX here ending the day around 2362, and these futures are, very different prices from the VIX. Now, sometimes the VIX will be higher. The spot VIX price will be higher than the futures. Sometimes it will be lower. But this is what you get the price of TVIX from. It's not really from supply and demand. This being an exchange-traded product, there aren't really the same supply and demand issues as for a stock, and it doesn't really act like a stock since it is once again an averaging between these two futures. Now, every day they sell a little bit of this front future and buy a little bit of the second month future, and that contributes to the price. That's why we look at this backwardation here, because essentially as they sell this higher price future and buy this lower price one, they're sort of adding value to TVIX. Now, and adding value to it by selling something higher priced and buying something cheaper, that's going to add value to TVIX, which makes pressure for the price to go up. Now, what do any of these things have to do with this chart that shows what does it show? Possible cup and handle forming. What does it have to do with this chart? It's got absolutely nothing to do with this chart. In fact, this chart this is showing TVIX, but it doesn't take into account the futures. It doesn't take into account the value being added by the term structure. It doesn't really take into account anything. In fact, this chart has nothing to do with it. And maybe this person bought TVIX at a lower price and it went up today and they made money on TVIX. That doesn't prove at all that this chart has anything to do with them making money. And I'm not trying to say this to be a jerk. I'm just trying to explain to people that technical analysis does not have really anything to do with trading the VIX. Now, I know people have bought TVIX low and sold it high. And, if you look at a chart, you can tell that it's low and you can buy some and then sell it high. That doesn't mean that these, like, patterns here have anything to do with it. And, I invite you to disagree with me. Don't get mad and say, Dave's wrong, I'm turning him off, and that's it, because I invite you to disagree with me. Expose yourself to different people's viewpoints. That's what you should be doing when you go on YouTube or anywhere else. Shape your values by listening to what other people say. So let's take a look at the market today. I purposely cranked the volume today because some people were saying it wasn't loud enough. So with the volume cranked, I wanted to show you a pleasant little display here that I had set up. Let's see if I can get it going here. There we go. Greetings from Cape Cod. Okay, so there's the that's the Nauset Light Beach lighthouse. That's the lighthouse up in Eastham. For those of you that are familiar with Cape Cod, and it is indeed snowing here on Cape Cod today. So, welcome from snowy Cape Cod. Let's return to the return to the charts here and the screen. Okay, so another big down day for the markets. People blame different things. Some people say it's because the president tweeted. Other people say it's because Amazon pulling the market down. Some people say it's China tariffs. Other people say it's just this continuing story of tech stocks pulling everything down. Indeed, tech stocks were down today. We had a couple of legs to this sell-off. The NASDAQ now is off the lows. Let's take a look. So this is a chart of the last 2 months, it looks like. And yeah, it looks like we've been going down for a while. This is NASDAQ futures. Let's close in on just today for a second. So here was the story of, right before the open here. And then just legs, just steps and steps and steps down here. And where it stops, nobody knows. I was watching CNBC for a little bit today, and they were discussing how the S&P had broken through the 200-day moving average. So let's take a look at SPX here. I think they said that 200-day moving average was around I think they said it was around 2584. So we ended 2581, which is, I believe, below that. And, I've said before with charts, if enough people are following it, then it does have some meaning. If you watch the video with yesterday or a couple days ago with Michael Lamont, he was looking at a monthly chart, and we're still above the monthly 200-day moving average, but we did break it, I guess, on the daily chart today. Anyway, not a great day once again for short VIX folks. The VIX was up at one point. Let's take a look at the VIX. It was up 5 at one point and came off the highs to only close up 365, but really did pull the term structure farther out. And we did not see that much participation from the farther out futures. The October looks like was up 30 cents. We did go further into backwardation. So this is, I think, it's either 6 or 7 times in backwardation now this year so far. So definitely not, there's been articles coming out saying this is orderly in the VIX, and it's been an orderly sell-off as well, but it starts to remind me now of like 2000 with the market just kind of grinding lower. it's we've had actually big percentage moves down. I think the NASDAQ was down almost 3% at one point today. Yeah, I mean, it still is. It was down over 3% at one point today. Still down 2.8%, but was down over 3%. And, not looking good. If we want to take a look, we can back it out and see where we've taken out Feb. If we've taken out the Feb lows, we haven't taken out the Feb lows on in every one of these. I believe we have on NASDAQ, but not on the Russell, I believe. Let me close this up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we're flirting with the Feb lows, at least in all the major indices, and it's we're gonna have to see if the earnings cycle here rescues us or not, because yeah, you can see here broken through the lows here on the Russell. If we look at E-minis here, broken well through the lows. Well, that doesn't show, but let's see if we can find it here. Yeah, definitely E-minis and then Dow. All right, so everything has pretty much, well, Dow's right close, but everything, yeah, has broken through the lows of February 5th. And that seems to be a major point. But if you look at this chart here of the Dow, for example, we've been moving down for a while now. So since Jan here. So the downtrend continues. It appears that Friday was just kind of it just sort of catching its breath before it moved lower. So we'll have to see what happens moving forward. It's story is still unfolding. Not pleasant for short vol people. What I guess the question becomes, what would be the signal to, if you were not short volatility, what would be the signal to initiate some sort of position? And I think a lot of people would want to wait until the term structure was back in contango. That would be a major signal for many people. Other people would pick some sort of point on the VIX, like, for example, VIX 2362 today. Some people would say, well, if the VIX goes, to 30, I'm definitely going to short some. If the VIX goes to 25, I'm going to short some. But I was watching or reading the article from Balance of Trade and saying how, well, we might be in store for a term structure which stays out of contango for extended period of time this year. The argument is that we don't have enough data from the limited time that VIX products have been trading almost always in a bull market, that we don't have enough time under our belts to really predict what will happen to the term structure right now. And that seems to be a valid argument to me. So certainly now with the term structure the way it is, the long VIX trade is favored. And it's been a great play lately to every rally we get to buy a little TVIX on the rally. Things go down and uvxy and TVIX go down, and it's been a great trade to buy a little bit when it goes down and keep it in your pocket for a couple days. Then when you get the pop like today, you can make your $2 and get out. That's worked over and over again for people. Let's take a look specifically at TVIX just for a second. So we can see the upward move over the last month. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And there's been plenty of spots to, every time it's kind of retraced here, You could have bought some, retraces here, could have bought some, made money, retraces here, could have bought some, made money, retraces here, could have bought some, and on and on and up. So now we know that TVIX can't go up forever. It's going to come down at some point, and there's going to be money to be made on the downside. But in the meantime, it seems to be that every time you get one of these pullbacks, it's been a pretty safe thing to buy a little and play that pop. And it used to be, if you went into StockTwits, everybody who had been on there for a while were short VIX traders, and the long people would show up for a little while and then disappear because there was just no money to be made doing that. But now it seems like anytime you get a pullback, buy a little TVIX and you can make some money. It seems like easy money. It's almost like as easy money as it was to be short these products last year. So things have really turned around. And the only word of caution I have for people if they want to play with on the long side here is just do go back to your term structure and check it out from time to time. But it appears that it's going to take an extended rally here in the market to turn around to get us back into contango and to get back to a situation where there's a lot of decay for TVIX holders. Now, if you buy TVIX or uvxy on a pullback, it seems pretty safe. It's not going to decay on you that much. Nothing is, of course, a totally safe play in the market, and if the market rallies or settles down, these products will come in. But in the meantime, there's two-way trade out there for people, and have at it. So that's where we stand today. Best of luck trading to everybody, and I'd love to hear your comments down below if you want to tell me what you think caused the sell-off today in the markets. I'd be interested to hear about that from you if you have an opinion on that. Also, let me know if this louder settings is working out better. I tried to turn it up a little bit so that people who are like maybe in a cafe or something, internet cafe, can hear it better. Shout out to my buddy Brent who told me to turn it up, so thanks, buddy. And good luck to everybody trading, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks for checking it out. Let's see if we can leave you with a little Delano here. There we go. That's where I'd like to be. Wouldn't that be better to be in a nice by the pool in Florida as opposed to freezing up here in Cape Cod? Thanks for watching, folks.